Okay, what we're going to try and do is a bit of a video guide about how to get from checkpoint 3 across Hankley Common. So this is checkpoint 3. It won't look quite like this in the summer because there'll be lots of leaves, and checkpoint 3 is a waypoint, so support vehicles can't be here, but there will be marshals here, and then you head for the barrier from checkpoint 3, and we'll pick it up in a moment. Now I've just come through the barrier and crossed over a small stream, and what I see ahead of me is basically paths going to the left and then straight on, curving round to the left where the others are standing. And what I want to do is to take the second of these paths off to the left. In fact, what we've got is we've got 3 paths going off. So you'll see first path there, second path in the middle, and the third path where the others are standing. So they've gone on a bit too far. It doesn't really matter because they all come out more or less in the same place, but it's just quicker to take the path in the middle, which is the path I'm going to take, and the others can walk the long way around. So just coming out through the middle path, and here's the path that the others have decided to go down, and like I said, I've got there first, and then I'm going to avoid that path that goes straight up. There's wood more or less straight in front, and then I'm going to go up towards where the dog is and take a path off to the right. So just walking here to the edge of the wood, and then we follow the obvious track round to the right, and then we're going to follow it round to the left as it bends very gently round, but not follow it further around to the left as we exit the wood. Okay, we're just coming out towards the edge of the wood, and here you'll see that the track forks. What's worth noting is in the middle distance you can see a hill which is Yagden Hill. Now I'm going to follow this track that basically runs not over the top of Yagden Hill but up the shoulder of Yagden Hill, and that's where we want to be aiming for. So we're not going to go to the top of Yagden Hill, but we're going to go over the shoulder. So here we are, foot of the climb up the shoulder of Yagden Hill. There's Yagden Hill, and a bit boggy at the bottom, so pick your route carefully. It will be boggy even if it's hot in June. So we're about halfway up the shoulder of Yagden Hill, come to a junction, just go straight over, follow the dog. So I'm just approaching the top of the shoulder of Yagden Hill. Yagden Hill's on my left, or the top of Yagden Hill's on my left up there, and I'm going to carry straight on for now down this track. So I'm still heading in the same direction, but I'm about 150 paces beyond the top of the shoulder of Yagden Hill, which is still now slightly behind me to my left up there. And the identifying features here are the track junction, the fork going off to the left, and it's the first trees on the right since the top of Yagden Hill. Hopefully the trees are still going to be there, that tape won't be, it's about to be chopped down. And I'm going to take the left hand fork here, so that I'm going to effectively skirt Yagden Hill now, leaving it on my left still as I go round to the southern side of Yagden Hill. I've moved on about another 100 metres or so from where I've taken the left fork. Yagden Hill is now to my north, that's Yagden Hill, and I am going to turn south, picking up that track there, and I'm going to be working on a bearing of about due south, so 180 degrees on my compass. So just coming on from the last shot, not gone more than 20 or 30 metres, and I'm going to leave these young trees on my right. I've ignored the left turn there, and I'm just carrying straight on, heading more or less south. And you can see in the distance the track I'm heading for, which goes up to the top of the ridge. On about another 50, 60, 70 metres, and still heading more or less due south, and you can see the sandy hill But we're going to walk up, and that will take us onto the top of the ridgeline that leads into the Lion's Mouth from the north. Just reaching the top of the hill, and therefore the flat of the ridgeline. Here come the others, and just going to follow the path along the top of the ridgeline until we come to its end, and then we'll drop down to the Lion's Mouth. Just coming to the end of the ridgeline, you'll see the barriers. That's where the drop down to the Lion's Mouth starts. So the Lion's Mouth is prominently marked on the 1 to 25,000 scale maps, and there you can see sort of big track junction, number of tracks converging at what is called the Lion's Mouth. And at the Lion's Mouth, what we're going to do is we're going to turn left to head east. Turn left to head east. So now on the bottom of the hill from the Lion's Mouth, we can see Catherine and Ollie still descending with Colin and Alex behind. And so we're going to turn left here. So you could take the narrower of those two tracks, which is sort of in the centre of the frame now. I would suggest you all take the wider, more obvious track, which runs slightly to the right of it, and we'll be going gradually downhill following the obvious track. Again, it may seem lots of choices on offer, and I suggest you simply follow the main sandy track round, curving slightly round to the right. Still on the same track, heading downhill, and you can begin to see more open area at the bottom and the tarmac, and we'll speak more when we get to the tarmac. Just approaching the tarmac. Where we want to be going is that track that's going away from us there. So we hit the tarmac, left and right, and follow that track away from us. Do not get sucked down to the right here. So I've now reached the tarmac, I'm turning left onto it, and I'm going to follow it round. And once I've gone around this bend, I'll be heading more or less due east. I'm going to be going up a hill, and I'm going to be on this road now for about 800-900 metres up the hill and down the other side. So I've now reached the top of the hill, and we've got a barrier in front of us, and there's a civilian car park up on the right there. I'm just going to walk straight through the barrier and keep on downhill for the time being. Now we're coming towards the bottom of the hill, and as the road levels out before it starts climbing again, there's an obvious track junction which you can now see on the right, and we're going to take that right, and this is now Hounds Down Bottom, and we're going to turn right and head more or less due south along Hounds Down Bottom. So just entering Hounds Down Bottom, lots of signage around, and just going to slog along here for a bit. Now we've been going down Hounds Down Bottom for well over a kilometre. We've been past a couple of houses on our left, and we're coming up to a pretty obvious split, and here we are just going to follow the track round over the stream bridge, and then immediately after this house we're going to turn right up quite a narrow track that runs uphill, using the garden boundary as our right handrail. So don't follow the track up, head for the telegraph pole and the narrow track, and then just keep going up this until you reach the road. It's a bit of a slog. So just coming to the top of the track and out onto the road. Be careful of the cars, and then we're going to go heading in the direction that car has just come from. We've come along a few hundred metres. Remember that the first and last walkers in your group must be wearing their day glow vests while you're walking on the road, and we're going to turn left into Sailors Lane. So there's the sign for Sailors Lane over there, and we're just going to turn left and head down Sailors Lane. So we're now coming towards the bottom of Sailors Lane, and there's a pretty obvious junction in front of us where the road bends round to the right into Hyde Lane, signed for Upper Ridgeway Farm. And we're not going to follow the road round to the right. We're going to go up the muddy track, which is going to be more or less straight ahead. Hopefully it won't be muddy in June. I can't promise it, but certainly at the moment it's pretty muddy, and it's going to be it's pretty narrow, and it's going to be quite hard work. It's a bit of a pull-up hill. So just keep going on past the gateway into the farm, and you can probably hear this is going to be pretty squelchy underfoot in end of February, hopefully not in June, but pretty narrow. It's certainly going to be quite rough going, and quite soon you get a steepish pull-up hill which leads you to the ridge line that approaches the Devil's Punchbowl from the north. And that's where I'm going to sign off. So you've been navigated over Hankley Common and shown the way to pick up the path that leads from the north to the Devil's Punchbowl. Now we've just finished the slog uphill from the end of Sailors Lane, and we come out to this sort of set of junctions, and this is the point where it's important to ignore any path that is trying to make you go downhill and lose height. So just keep more or less heading same sort of direction as you were, and you'll pick up this path and follow that up, and then you'll be able to see the glorious views of the Devil's Punchbowl on your left in about half a mile's time. So we've just come away from the edge of the ridge line alongside the Devil's Punchbowl, and we're coming up to a bit of a junction, and you can see edge of some gardens and a house there. And what we need to do is not go up there, because we'll end up in the back of Hindhead, but actually follow the track down here, which will lead us down to the visitor centre. So now just approaching the overflow car park at the visitor centre, and if you've got a brilliant sport driver, they will have parked at the end of the overflow car park on the left as we approach, so that you don't have to detour too much out of your route. Where you're going to be heading afterwards is sort of slightly left-handed, so you don't want to be parked over there on the right. And there we are. So that's the end of the leg from checkpoint 3 to checkpoint 4.